All right, this is another round of the 10-minute warm-up, and we're going to take this into shoulders a little bit and do a little bit of unusual core work here. So to get this started, come into a toe squat. So for this, bring your feet together and then lift your heels, let the knees go out wide, keep your hands down on the floor between your thighs. And just to warm up all the joints in your lower body here, keep your hands down and then just bring your hips up high. Sink back down, sit on your heels, lift up a second time. Come back down. Lift up for 3. Come back down. Bring it up for 4. And then come back down. Lift up for 5. Sink back down. Come up to 6. And then sink back down. Up to 7. Bring it back down. Come up for 8. And then sink back down. Lift up for 9. Come back down. Bring it up for 10. Come back down. And then from here, go ahead one at a time. Bring your hands down behind you. And come to a seat. Now once you're seated, go ahead and bring the legs in front of you. Just sit up tall, hands up off the floor. And keep the feet about hips width distance apart. Now, lean forward so you can actually bring your torso toward upright. And if your hamstrings are tight and you have to round your back to come into the seat, bend the knees if you need to and let that go. All right, so keep the knees lifted, keep your heels on the floor. Press your low back forward. You're trying to hold an arch in your low back and keep your core braced. Tighten up through the belly around the low ribs to stay up tall. And you can keep your hands in front of your chest, or bring your hands behind your head if you can keep your shoulders back and keep your chest open. Either way, keep your spine vertical best you can. Now from here, you're just going to walk on your pelvis. So just go ahead and lean to the left, lift the right sit bone, slide it forward, and then lean right and lift the left. So you're basically just walking on your butt. So just shift side to side, keep your torso upright. You're kind of moving from the waist here. And then one sit bone at a time is going forward. Once you make it to the front, if you're going the length of a yoga mat, walk it backwards. Now, again, keep your torso upright, not too wiggly through the spine. Just go ahead and lift from side to side. And as you pull your pelvis back, or pull the sit bone back one at a time, this is going to help you loosen up some of the muscles that help support your low back, keep in mind. Now, you're only moving maybe an inch or two at a time here. Bring this all the way back. And I'm just going to the end of my yoga mat. And then walk it forward again. So again, sit up tall. And then one by one, lift your sit bone. Press your foot forward. Bend the knees as much as you need to. And again, keep yourself upright. Keep your core engaged as you're moving like this. And then once you make it to the front one more time, go ahead, back this up. And just center yourself on the mat. Or center yourself in position back where you started more or less. And then from here, go ahead, bring your hands to the floor. Again, bend the knees if you need to. Keep the heels down, feet about hips width distance apart. But fold forward. Bring your hands down outside your thighs, maybe about halfway down. Fingertips out to the sides at least a little bit, maybe all the way toward 90 degrees. Now, this is going to be the position that we started moving toward reverse tabletop here today. So it's going to be a little bit more stressful than usual. So both palms down, press into the floor. Bend the knees if you need to bring the thighs toward your belly. And then lift up. So bring your seat up off the floor completely and start with this fold. Now go back and forth from here. So let your hips go forward, set the feet, squeeze your glutes and press up high. And then pull your hips back between your arms. Lift up again like this for 2. And then come back down. Lift up, squeeze your glutes for 3. Come back down. Press this up for 4. And then come back down. Lift up again for 5. And then bring it back down. Come up for 6, and then bring it back down. Lift up for 7, and then come back down. Lift up for 8, bring it back down. Lift up for 9, and then come back down. Now lift up for 10 and hold. Keep your glutes squeezing, keep your chest lifting. You can look forward, look up, or hang your head back. And take an inhale. With the exhale, slowly bring it all back down. And then once you're down, just shake your hands out for a moment. Now once your hands are ready, go ahead, cross the ankles, come forward to your hands. And let's take this into the wrist from here a little bit more. So I want you to go ahead and set this up with your knees out wide, wider than your hips. Point the big toes toward each other. And then walk your hands back. You're going to set your hands down on the line that you can draw between your knees. Palms down, fingertips to the side, at least 90 degrees right or left. Try to rotate toward your feet as far as you can. And then set your hands flat, spread the fingers wide, dig your fingertips down into the floor. Pull your chest forward between the upper arms, bend the elbows in toward your rib cage, and keep weight on your hands like this. Now just start to move back and forth. Keep gripping the floor with the fingers of both hands, and let that stretch move into the wrists and up into the forearms. And then settle in its center. Hold that weight on your hands, but then shift your lower body weight side to side. So bring the weight to left knee, lift the right knee up off the floor, and then set it down. Shift your weight right, lift your left knee, and set it down. Lift the right knee up again. Come back to the floor, keep your chest forward, lift your left knee, and then set it down. Right knee up again. Bring it back down, lift your left knee again, and set it down. Right knee up again. Bring it back down, lift the left knee, and then set it down. Right knee up one more time. Bring it down, lift the left knee one more time. Set it down, and then come up onto the fingertips, down to sitting on your heels. Just take a moment to shake your hands out a little bit. Now once the hands are ready, come into all fours. I want to take it from here into a forearm plank. So I want you to bring both forearms down to the floor. Now, elbows at shoulder width, I'm going to recommend you bring your hands together. You can keep them flat if you want. Just keep the elbows at shoulder width. And then step your feet back, feet about hips width distance apart, and bring your body into line. Now, holding from here, lift your spine up toward the ceiling, press your hands down to the floor. And let's go ahead, twist side to side. So roll your heels over to the right as far as you can go. And then through center, bring your heels to the left side. Now, bring the heels back through center to the right. And this time, reach your left arm high and keep your hips lifted. Then bring the left forearm down. Heels through center to the left. Reach your right arm high. Come back down to center. Roll your heels right. Left arm up again. Bring that arm down. Roll your heels left and reach your right arm high. Bring it back down. One more time with the heels to the right. Left arm reaches up. And then come back down. Bring the heels to the left. And reach your right arm high again. Now come back to center of that forearm plank. And keep your hands pressing down into the floor. Now as the hands press down, walk your feet forward. Go ahead, bend the knees, bring the hips up as high as you're able. And hold here. We're going to take it back and forth from this into Dolphin Push-Ups. So for that, bring your head as far forward as you can. And then press back, hips high. Come forward for 2. And then press back. Forward for 3. Press this back again. Forward for 4. And then press back. Now bring it forward for 5. Press it back again. Forward for 6. And then press back. Now forward for 7. Press this back again. Forward for 8. And then press back. Now forward for 9. Press it back. Forward for 10. Press back one more time. And then bring your knees down to the floor. Come up to all fours. And from all fours, take a moment. Move around here and breathe. All right, now the last thing we're going to do, and this is going to be a big movement here, we're going to take a modified Russian push-up, and then you have the option. You can keep the modification, or you can do the full movement from here. But to set this up for the first round, bring your legs together, knees on the floor, the knees stay under your hips. And with your hands shoulder width, rotate your fingertips to the side, so the middle fingers are pointing out right or left. Now press your hands down to the floor, and keep in mind, you're starting with your arms straight. Once you bend the elbows, try to keep them bent at about 90 degrees and keep the elbows pulled into your sides, just like coming to chaturanga. So from here, look forward. Now, bring your shoulders forward. Pull the elbows toward your ribs. Come halfway down and hold. Now, keep your arms bent. Bring your weight back. Elbows come down to the floor. Shift your weight forward. Keep the elbows pulled into your sides like this. And then press up to straight. And we'll do 2 more rounds like that. Shoulders forward. Pull the elbows in. Hold halfway. And then pull back and bring the elbows down to the floor. Keep the arms bent. Bring your weight forward. Squeeze the elbows in. Press back up the straight arms. 1 more round. Shoulders forward, elbows in, hold halfway. Bring your weight back, elbows down to the floor. Now shift your weight forward. Keep the elbows squeezing in. And then press back up the straight. And take a seat. Shake your hands out and roll your shoulders out a little bit. Now that was 1 set, we're going to do 2 more. So if that was hard enough, just stay on your knees. If you want to take it further, you can do this with your legs straight. Now if you do it with the legs straight, keep in mind, you're going to move through plank, chaturanga, and dolphin. So just take it to where you can. You don't have to force anything here. Just the arm action is the same either way. And the important thing in here is to bring your shoulders as far forward as you can when the elbows bend and keep the elbows pulled into your sides. So go ahead, come to that setup. Now if it's going to stay modified, bring the knees together, keep the knees underneath your hips. Otherwise, step the feet straight back. And then let's go 3 times. Shoulders forward, elbows in, come down halfway and hold. Bring your weight back, elbows come down to the floor. Now shift your weight forward. Keep the elbows pulled into your sides. Press up to straight. 2 more times. Shoulders forward, elbows in, come down halfway. Bring your weight back, elbows come down to the floor. Shift your weight forward, keep the elbows pulled in like this. And then press up to straight. 1 more. Shoulders forward, elbows in, hold at halfway. Pull your weight back, elbows come down to the floor. Now shift your weight forward, keep the elbows pulled in. Press up to straight. And go ahead, set your knees. Come down to sitting on your heels, and again, shake your hands out, roll your shoulders out, stay loose. And then we'll do one last set. And this is supposed to be hard, keep in mind. So bring your hands back down to the floor. Now, if you did the other version, want to go back to putting your knees down, that's fine. But take the position that works. So you can have your knees down, keep them underneath your hips, or bring your legs to straight and step in. Go ahead, lift them up off the floor, bring your body into line. Either way, shoulders forward, elbows in, hold halfway down. Bring your weight back, elbows come down to the floor. Shift your weight forward, keep the elbows pulled in like this. And then press up to straight. 2 more times. Shoulders forward, elbows in, come down halfway. Bring your weight back, elbows come down to the floor. Shift your weight forward, keep the elbows pulled in. And then press up to straight. 1 more time. Shoulders forward, elbows in, hold at halfway. Pull back and bring the elbows to the floor. Now shift your weight forward, keep your elbows pulled in like this. Press back up to straight 1 more time. And then set your knees down. Come down to your heels. And take a moment, shake everything out a little bit. And that's probably about enough. That is a 10-minute warm-up for this round. Thank you very much.